Hi, Isabelle. How are you?
Hi, Joe. Yeah, I'm really good, thanks.
Cool. Thanks for making time to have this chat. I'm very excited because, probably like you, I work with lots of people right now who are thinking about how do they stand out when they're applying for jobs, either in a new organization or in their own organization, and how do they do a cover letter or a CV or, oh my God, what's LinkedIn? All those sorts of little things. So I think this is going to be really useful for them. And you've been doing this a long time, right? How long have you been helping people?
Yeah, so I've been doing CV Whiz for 5 years now. I started in lockdown, in New Zealand's first lockdown, because I was suddenly out of work and so many other people were. So it just seemed a natural thing. But I was kind of building on my experience from government and being a manager and hiring and seeing so many CVs and just seeing people struggle with them.
Yeah, and we're hearing at the moment like there's even when a job comes up, there's even more CVs that people are having to go
Yeah.
through, right? So that knowledge of what will grab a manager's attention, I think is going to be really valuable. That's cool. Oh, you're going to have so many tips to share in this 5 years of experience. My goodness. Shall we talk about CVs? And I'm really interested in what do you think the main things are that people struggle with when they're putting their CV together?
Well, I think it's tone. People don't know how to write about themselves and they suddenly feel very self-conscious.
Mm.
And that's especially Kiwis, tall poppy syndrome. So people feel like they don't want to market themselves or they don't want to put a spin on themselves, but somehow they still have to present themselves. So what I always say and what I try to do is you need to just be really factual, you need to be concise, but also you need to keep it outcomes focused. And if you're factual about the outcomes, then that's the way of showing your achievements and your value, but without boasting as such.
Yeah. Can you talk a little bit more about what you mean by an outcome? Because I think it's one of those words that people throw around and it's like we might all mean slightly different things by it.
Yeah, sure. So an outcome can be anything depending on the context. It can be a number or it can be a description of how you change something.
Nice.
So maybe you spotted a process that wasn't working very well in your organization or your team, and you talk through it with people and you come up with a new way of doing things and you document it and you share it out to the organization. The outcome of doing that is that processes are streamlined, maybe customer service is better, maybe just your team and your staff are happier because they're not getting mucked around so much, or the outcome might be a number. It might be that sales went up 20% or, time wasted was reduced by a certain percent.
Nice. So it's not just saying what you did, it's saying what the impact of what you
Yeah,
did was. Yeah.
yeah.
Nice. So if you were going to give people like your best piece of advice, is there one thing you would add to that?
So CVs are part of a whole recruitment process and journey. And the best way to handle this is plan it properly in advance. So plan the stories or the key messages that you want to communicate about yourself. So that might be about your strengths or where you're at in your career or what you want next or your best achievements. And then you shape all your application material around those same stories over and over.
Yeah.
So those are the key messages in the CV, definitely in the cover letter, in your LinkedIn case studies. And by the time you've done all that prep, by the time you get to interview, you've got all your stories rehearsed and you know what you need to say.
Yeah, nice. So, what is the benefit of working with someone like you, Isabel, as opposed to just sitting there and trying to do it yourself?
Well, it's always good to talk about your CV with anyone. I mean, it could be friends, colleagues, family, because always other people looking in can see different patterns and achievements in your life from what you can see. For example, actually, one of my clients had been working at the same organization for 20 years in an admin role. She then relocated to the North Island and was involved in setting up a new site for that organization there. So she came to me at this point and said, I can't say anything about my new job. I'm just admin and the job's new. But for me, looking in from the outside, I could see that her company relocated her to be a key part of launching this new site.
Yeah.
Obviously, she was integral to the whole launch. They were
Oh,
relying on her knowledge and experience. And,
God,
and that's the kind of way that we ended up phrasing it.
nice. Wow, that's a really good example. And it is hard sometimes when you work with people, isn't it? And they're like, well, I haven't really got anything to say, or I don't do
Mm,
anything. You know, we don't, as you said at the beginning, we don't see it in ourselves. But when people
mm.
start telling you their story and what they do, it's so useful to have someone to play that back to you in a way of, well, how could you frame that for someone if you were looking for employment or you're looking to tell that story?
As for working with a professional writer, well, recruiters, they will cast aside CVs that ramble, that have spelling mistakes, or that just look a mess. And not everyone can write clearly or lay out documents clearly.
No.
So if you are in a position to work with a writer, then you will get a fully professional document.
Yeah.
Um, and also you're gaining from that writer's experience from all the other people they've worked with, all
Yes.
the other recruitment stories that they've heard and told.
Yeah.
And ideally, you find a writer who clicks with you.
Yeah.
So job hunting is a vulnerable time, right? So hopefully you receive friendly, supportive service.
Yeah.
I've actually stayed friends with many of the people that I've worked with, and we support each other's careers and keep an eye on it all. So yeah, it's a really win-win situation for both of us.
Feels like a lovely community that you're building. It's, you know, a bonus, right, of the type of work
Yeah,
you do.
yeah.
It's a really vulnerable time. Isabel, how do people get in touch with you? What's the best way?
My main page is on Facebook. Just look up CV Whiz, and you can always find me on LinkedIn, and then you'll find my CV Whiz links.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you.